Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to this tutorials. I do apologize for a long wait, but finally we're back here. I just have built my new computer, installed all the software, and have returned to this development. Let's see if you're following my page. You have seen a bit new uploads for robotics. I'm working on a 3D printed robot, which I'm using Unity as a training environment. I have prepared my academic paper with one of the professors, and I hope it will be uploaded very soon. So let's continue with our terrain. From the last tutorial, where we end up, we created an algorithm. We write a code where it allows this gentleman to go from the left to the right terrain and send an overlap request. But we need to do a similar approach if this gentleman will be going from the right to the left. In other words, x-axis is decreasing. To showcase this issue, I placed our gentleman exactly on the edge of one terrain at x position 100. This really is showcase you the issue which I'm trying to solve at the moment. If I press forward, it's going in a line, but it's not painting anything on the floor. But if I go away, you can see straight away it starts doing it. You can, this is a gap which one appears when our NPC or new nickname and gentleman at this tutorials will be crossing the lines. We don't want to leave these gaps like that. Of course, this painting strength is a 100%, and it paints from one layer to another layer directly. It looks a bit unrealistic, but for developing purpose is perfect. So let's start to write the code. First of all, we need to remove this paint. Don't forget, as I mentioned before, any changes you made on terrain, even in the play mode, will be, it's not temporary changes. It will stay after you stop the game. So first of all, I would like to actually just see what we actually doing by sending debug mode. So debug.log amap pause, and currently we're working on x axis, so I'm interested only in x. Save it. And let's run it. As you can see, if we're driving forward, we're getting -4. And -4, it's 4 pixels outside of the right terrain. It should be 4 less than the left terrain, but at the moment it's classified as where our gentleman actually stands in the right terrain. So it still stands on this side, not this one. Because we have this distance already, we can actually we can do our calculations much easier compared with the previous lesson, as it gives directly how much of pixels we already in another terrain. We need to delete this because we don't want it to return. We actually want to do here. I can do a smarter way and actually involve double checking in this line, but what I would like to do, and it's much easier to read, is if a map or x or y is less than 0, so it's mean you in another terrain, I wanted to do here. We start checking which of axis we coming across. To start this, we'll start with checking if a map host dot x is less than 0. I know we're repeating the same if condition on the top, but I just wanted to make it more readable. If any of this is less than 0, do this part. And in this part, we'll do separate for x and y position. Okay, if map x is less than 0, we need to find a difference. The difference last lesson we used, and we done some difficult calculation. But as I mentioned just a few seconds ago, it's much easier for us because we already know the difference. Different is a map. Different is equal a map position dot x. And because we always know it's a negative number, as we're checking here, it's less than 0. So we just multiply by -1. Double check. We always can get this debug at this line and insert the difference as a variable, which one we want to print it. Save it, run it. As you can see, the difference is 4. We're getting already a alpha map problem because we just deleted and removed a return line. If we move a bit light, actually we should not get out of this position. This will be covered in the next following lessons. I want to make sure if we have any issues to complete any request because of error, I want to remove that request from a list at the moment, because we have one of a request here on the line, which one is causing the error. It never completes and never removes from a list, from a queue. So the next frame, it tries to do again and again and again, even though we build the queue with a positive, with a good request behind this request. So we will cover this one in the following lesson, or maybe on the end of this one. At the moment, what we need to do is we need to make sure that we will send a request correct one. So let's get back to our paint. Here's a one terrain, and we'll make another one. I like to make them a different color. Let's assume they are same size. Oh, we can make it them same size. And let's make our dude. So it's in square, by the way. Yes. So when our dude is going this direction, yes. Well, let's make it bigger. Let's imagine we have a big, massive gentleman coming from a black to a red terrain. So it's mean going from a right to the left, which one means X coordination is decreasing. So, and at this point, we got 4 pixels in the next terrain. So that means we have 4 here, and out of 10 is 6 here. I'm assuming is 10 total. So what we need to do is actually to make a new, we need to make a request, which one we have now, only for a 6. And then call another request for a 4 on another terrain. So first step, let's make this. To do that is really simple, because we are sending a map position. And this a map position dot x is currently -4. What do we need to make it? It's back to the 0. The answer is really simple. If x was here, we need to move back to this one. So this is 0. And this is a 1024 for a black terrain tile. not for a red one, for a black one. So 0, this is only for applicable for a black terrain tile. Going back, we need to calculate a new, how to say, a request. That's the way. A map request dot x. It's a new. It will be, as I mentioned here, it should be 6. To get that number, we need to take, okay, this is all your length minus 4. Well, in this case, it's 4. In any case, it will be a different. So the different is a number, how many pixels we on another terrain. So a map request is terrain paint request dot paint size. Oh, my bad. Paint size plus terrain paint request fade size multiply by 2. If you remember why we're multiplying by 2, if you don't remembering, watch lesson 3 then, or lesson, I think it's lesson 2, when we was covering why we're using to multiply by 2. And of course, we need to subtract the difference. For some reason, we're getting a map request is TPR paint size. Oh, dot x. Sorry. So paint size plus TPR fade size multiplied by 2 minus difference. So this exactly means. Taking the red color. Get this distance and subtract this one. So you will get this number. After we're getting this number and x, we need to, actually we can test here. So now, instead of getting errors, how we done it previously, we should to get now just a half painting. So what we're doing is now we should paint this side of the terrain. Okay, let's go forward. Yes, as you can see, we're painting now one side. If I turn a bit more. Yeah, we're painting only left until we get fully into this side. And it's classified as standing in that one. Now what we need to do is, of course, first of all, to clear this. And we need to do a math calculation for that side. And to do that, to achieve this, we will be actually sending a new terrain request. We last tutorial, we created a custom constructor, which one takes, instead of vector3, it takes a vector2 int, and it's classified as overlap request. Okay. Let's clear this one first. Okay, all cleared. Let's get back to this one. To do that, we, first of all, we check how we have any, how to say, do we still have any terrain? What I mean by that, let's say, by the way, this this terrain is classified as number 1, and this terrain is number 2. Here is actually end of the world. This area won't be allowed to people to NPC to walk. The same applies here. Of course, it's plain field at the moment. It will be built some other things, but this is a line where the people won't be allowed to walk. And when NPC approach this corner, we don't want to send a paint request outside of a world cliff. So what we need to do is we need to check, do we have anything or not anything? Do we have another terrain in this left side? To do that is really simple. If TPR terrain request dot terrain ID dot x. So this is a x. This is an identification of terrain in x coordination. In my situation, I have 7. We have 7 on x axis and we have 7 on y axis, making total 49 terrains. Before I sending another overlap request, I need to make sure my gentleman is not on the edge of the game or world. Let's call it world. So to continue this one, our identifier, if -1 is not less, sorry, if -1 is greater or equal 0. In other words, if it's negative number, don't do it. So that means you are already on ID 0 and subtracting by 1, it's -1. Don't call overlap anymore. Let's say you are on somewhere in the middle of a world. Let's put in the middle of the middle. So it will be terrain ID 4. That means if you go left side, you know new coordination ID will be 3, 4. So the first number which will represent x coordinations decreasing. So after this check, we need to create. Actually, we can just copy this one, or we can just follow this one. But what we need to do now is just saying terrain request queue dot add new terrain paint request. We will build now a new request. So new request starts with by the way, I press comma to see this how to say hint what I need to type, and because I have 2 of them, one takes, as I mentioned, a vector 3 position. So this comes directly from our gentleman as a vector 3 position in the world, and it's classified as a normal paint request. Another constructor, which one we built last previous tutorial, it takes vector 2 in position. This represents the pixel point of our alpha map. And this builder is classified as overlap request. So to start this one, we need a new vector 2 int. And there should to be two how to say, 2 variables. Yeah, that's one. So in our case, we know it's 4. And we know that the red one, it starts at 0 alpha map and finish at 1024. So if I want to find this request size, this, oh, we can actually paint it. Let's paint it a light blue. So if we want to find this light blue paint area, I need to find where it starts. And to do that one, I'm really simple. It's 1024 minus whatever number. In our case, it's 4. It might be 3, it might be 10, depending on how much our gentleman is walking. I think it should be nothing more than 5 if we're using a square size of 10. Because after the 5, it's classified as standing in this one, and we'll be sending overlap request to the black tile. Because now it's in the 6 here and the 4, it's from a black tile, we're sending overlap request to the red tile. Yeah, so easy to say, easier to code. Let's put it this way. A vector 2 int, it will be, so we need to find a terrains actually, and we need, it's a 2D array, so we need tpr dot terrain ID dot x minus 1 tpr dot terrain ID dot y. And after this, okay, we get terrain. Now we need terrain data, and it will be width. So alpha width subtract a different. Okay, and because it's a vector 2, we need another in integer, and this is really simple. It's a map. Oh no, sorry, a map. Yeah, a map pos dot y. Following this one, we need a we need to tell what is a new. Oh, we need to actually do tell this constructor which terrain ID we're looking for. So it will be new vector to int, and the new terrain ID is the same, and we just looked for alpha map. It's a current ID. It's a current terrain -1 and x, and a current y. Following that one, we need the paint size. Paint size, it's very similar for previous one, but same time and different. Looking for this, we can change from vector3 to vector3 to int. Terrains. Hold on, new vector to terrains tpr terrain.x. Do we need? Oh, yeah. Sorry, yeah, we need definitely. And terrains tpr terrain id.x, comma tpr terrain id 1 terrain data alpha math minus different a map pos dot y. Really strange why it's not giving me, so I'll try to copy it from my notes. See is any difference. Yep, still gives the same issue. So okay, let's address that. This one is definitely integer, so it's not a problem, and we can actually cast this one to int. And to cast all this, we need to put in brackets. Still didn't like it. Oh, yeah. Okay. So the compiler, yeah, just got it. The compiler does not know which of the constructors I'm trying to use yet. It's trying to guess that I'm trying send a paint request using our gentleman world position of vector3, but few more inputs, and a compiler will say, oh, okay, yeah, I can see using a different one, terrain paint requests module, not module, sorry, constructor. So let's carry on here. I'm ignoring this issue. So vector2 and tpr, and have we done it? Yeah. So what's next? Put comma again, and it's a paint size. Okay, new vector2. Okay, paint size. So it's really simple what we done last time. Actually very simple, very similar. Difference. Yeah, let's cover again. So we first of all ask if a difference is greater than fade size. tpr dot fade size, and question mark. If it's yes, we saying a different minus fade tpr dot fade size select comma 0. And lastly, we need tpr dot paint size dot y. Okay, comma. What next? We need a fade size. Fade size is really simple as well. If a different is less than TP dot fade size, then we're saying just paint it different. Otherwise, you paint a all fade size. Yeah, sounds good to me. Comma, what's the last thing? We need a strength, and that will be TPR dot paint strength. Okay, and as you can see, our error just gone. And it's a reason because we just entered all the details required for this exactly type of a constructor. And the compiler can recognize it and saying, oh, okay, so the first variable, it's a vector to int. Previously, it's tried to guess and recognize it as an error because we're giving a different type. Yes, that would be all for X, and we can actually test it. And if we start moving forward, you can see we start painting for both sides. Now it's no ball gaps crossing between two terrains, but we'll still see the issue if we go to the Y. If we try to do the same on a Y-axis. So let's complete our today's tutorial. And first of all, let's clear this. And actually, it will be really simple. First of all, we don't need to debug anymore. We use this as our base paste. We need to check y is less than 0. If a difference will be amap pos dot y multiplied by -1. And we know that y back to 0. And the amap request y, it will be, yep, yes, oh, sorry, y fade size multiplied by 2, subtracting difference. If terrain x minus 1 is equal or greater than 0, terrain request q add terrain, okay. Yes. So this, we need to cut amap pos in the end and put in the front. Separate by comma. Delete the comma in the end, in the front. So it should be our amap pos dot x in the beginning. And here we need to change all into y. Oh, no, sorry. Sorry, no, it's okay. Yes, that's a good shout. So to be more precise, we should leave it with -1 at the line here, and here we should subtract 1 from ID y. Alpha, instead of alpha width, don't forget to use alpha map height. Minus difference, TPR terrain ID x, leave the correct one, and subtract from y. My paint will be different. It's really similar. Just again, cut the end after the comma, cut it, and paste it in the front. Separate by comma and space. And don't forget delete this additional comma at the beginning. The first should be terrain paint X, followed by this code what we write before. After that one, fade, it's nothing change, and that's it. Actually, looking in the task, we actually completed all this one. Don't forget, we already implemented last tutorial, sorry. about use cases when we cross multiple terrains in the same go. It should not, well, it's not affecting, it's not affecting anything in that case. Okay. Still receiving quite a lot of messages, interestingly. Oh, I didn't click play. So if we move forward, we can see it's painting. I wanted to go to a y direction, y axis. Well, actually, I can try to make and enter this values myself. So in axis, we want a 100, and a z, we want 100 with rotation of 90. Okay. Nice. We're getting some error, which we can now fix it and look in it. So after some investigation, I found some issues which one we need to address to sort all the errors currently we have on the map. So first of all, we should not to investigate the new terrain request against terrain ID. And the reason is because terrain ID is int. And as mentioned before, if the terrain position where our gentleman stands is 0, so 0 divided by 100 and cast into integer will become 0, even though it could be 0 minus 0.5, which one means we are in negative square. All this approach was currently working perfectly if we always going to positive side, but it does not work into a negative. So to do that one, with our check, we will move before casting and creating integers of int and x and y. And what we need to do is actually to check if our pos.x is less than 0, if our pos.y is less than 0. I would like to put some attention for you here. If your game is actually using negative coordination system, this 0 should to match your edge of the world. So let's say your world is from positive 1000 to negative 1000. So put here the number of your world, how much in negative number you can go. And vice versa, in the positive one, we check again pos.y. But because I know my terrain size is 100 meters squares, this is a tile size. Of course, I could make it as a variable, which one could be edited in editor, but I don't have any plans to change this one. So I'm planning to leave it as it is. Just put 100 floating point. Same here. So the variable of the terrain array counter can be changed. It could be, at the moment we have 7 by 7. So if its position is 7 times 100, so 700 meters, so that means our person is outside of the map. That means we print this error, which one I will showcase you in a minute, and we close this function without adding a new terrain request. This allows us to actually control the list and stop adding some unwelcome terrain requests. Additional to this, a second step, which I would like to address, is in update. So here what's logical here is what we currently have is that a new terrain request, not new terrain request, sorry, the first terrain request in a queue. By the way, small note, we will be working on all this update list, and we will be addressing this in the following lessons. But I wanted to sort this issue currently we have before moving forward. So the terrain request, which one is the first in the queue, we actually sending to paint the texture, and then we are removing. The problem is, if this function fails for unknown reason, etc., you send the request, which one is outside of the alpha map, or tile is not found, etc., etc. So that means this will fail, and that frame, that script won't be executed anymore. At the point where the script fails, the rest of the code is not executed. That means we're not removing this false terrain request, which one has some error inside. And what we do next frame, we sending the same request, because the same request is still the first. We never executed it. So, and this is a potential problem, because you can actually potentially get the game in a large error. So what we want to do is actually create outside of the loop, we create a memory location in a RAM, which will be private. First of all, it will be private, and it will be terrain paint request, terrain paint request, and we call TP first in queue, first in queue. Okay, and what we do is we TPR first in queue. We give a reference to our first terrain in queue from the list. So we take the first item from the list, and we will save in this memory location. Actually, it's just giving the reference of that location. And what we do next is actually we remove it from a list, and then we pass it to our paint texture function. So in this case, in this approach, we're taking the first item, we get its reference, then we remove that first item from the list. So that item is no more in the list. And then we pass that the first item we just removed references to the function. This will save us from the scenario then that terrain request is false and causing some errors, and potentially even crash our game if it's repetitive. In this scenario, we take once, it gives us an error. Of course, we have a lot of if conditions and foolproof, I think it's called. So we're checking a lot against the error, but it's still, if something slips in, we potentially get one error, and the next frame it won't request to paint again. So this is really helps. Another issue, which one was causing this error, is actually all this. Hold your horses. It sounds a lot. We've done quite a lot in the last tutorials, but it's not a code we write down. It's actually how it's arranged. Well, quick note. First of all, this is a problem as well. This should be Y. At the line 129, yeah, I'll maybe zoom it for you a bit more. Oh, sorry. Yep. So here should be terrain paint size dot Y, not X. So sorry about that one. I made a copy paste voodoo mistake. So what I mean by saying this all arrange is causing an error. So let's go back to our trustful paint. actually not. This time we'll be using something another voodoo. We will be using a, I don't know, just give me an NL bolt folder. Yeah. Let's create a text document and open it in Notepad++. No. Now, paint is the best, I think, because this will be involving some drawing. So, if we have a tile, and currently what we write with the function, we have two conditions, if and else. If you look here, we have if it's negative, x or y, or else. So it's mean x and y, x or y is positive. So let's draw them in red and blue. So we have either way, it's less than 0 or it's greater than max. I put M letter. Yeah. So let's think. In one case, it can be, well, red is checking is this is less than 0 here or less than 0 here. And another else condition is checking if it's here and here. It's greater x or greater y. The problem, which one is actually sits in the logic that it's possible to be less than 0 in x but greater in y. And how we write down here now at the moment, we're not executing it. Well, if y is if x is less than 0, we never execute y is greater than a maximum size. And this part is left over. We never checked it because we're checking only red ones first. So how it should be, you need to think this way. It's similar like a keyboard pressing or other things like in a driving game, you always coding like if you press acceleration and brake at the same time, you need to just execute one of them. You can't execute both of them. Well, you can, but it should be canceling each other then. So in this scenario, in this case, we need to think which two of 4. So we have 4 in total checks. So we have 4 arrows. Which of 2 of them is in the pair? Which one only one of them can exist at the same time? And the answer is really simple. At the same time, the only one can be true is either way x coordination is less or x coordination is greater. So that means it's not possible to our gentleman, which one could be anywhere in this map, to be same time true for larger and smaller than our tile size. It's not possible. Well, at least we do some really stupid mistake. But in our case, it should be one of them. And vice versa. For a y coordination, it should be if it's greater. Well, no, sorry. I'll start this one. If it's less than 0 or if it's greater than max tile size. And they should be a pair. To achieve this one is really simple. We just need to arrange our if conditions. So I'll try to copy and paste slow and try to pause the video if you get confused with coding. So first of all, we delete all this if map post x is less than 0 or y is less than 0. We don't want that one. By deleting this one, we need to delete curly braces belong to that one. Alongside, we need to delete else. Alongside with curly braces belong to else. That should give no errors. To check this one, to press Ctrl-Shift-B. Okay, no errors. We can continue. Now we just need to arrange. So if map position is less than 0, then means this should be a pair. let's make a space. If it's less than 0, okay, okay, oh yeah, that's nice. So if it's less than 0, if it's not, we check this one, else. Nice. Why I choose this approach? Because this check is much easier than this calculation. So CPU will check this one faster. If this is true, we never need to execute this one. That's why it's in else. But if this one is false, and let's check this one. If it's both are false, yeah, let's do with y then. By the way, what I'm doing is I'm deleting the last curly braces, and by pasting it again, it will fix all alignment for that current scope of the code. And what we need here is else. If map position y is less than 0, then do executing this one. If not, we try this one. And again, we're trying to check the first easier calculation for true or false condition before we're doing a more complex one. Okay, Control Shift B for a build. No errors. Yeah, that's all we're fixing for. Okay, so first of all, yeah, forward, no problems. And when we got into a negative number, it will be printed a custom error message, which one we created, not, yeah. Oh, yes. That's really good. I done mistake. Okay, I done the mistake which one I mentioned to you before. Actually glad I done this one. For a moment I was like, what? Okay, I mentioned to you before, and you just literally saw I done this again, and I believe a lot of people done this one. So this is about position vector 3 transition into vector 2, and that not y. Y in 3D world is up, and what we want to do is position.z, and here position.z, not y. In 3D, z is forward. In 2D, y is like up. You can say forward, but it's 2D, so it's y is equal to z, if it makes sense. Yeah, let's try again. Let's clean this one first. Nice. Okay. Yeah, painting, and when we get back, yes, we're getting the error, which one is our custom message we created for ourselves, and it only triggers once every paint request. So saying like, oh, you have a do which one goes out of this your tiles, and you're trying to print it. One of the approach what you should to do, or well, one of the solutions is actually to disable the script or disable requests sending for a paint request depending on the gentleman map plays. One of the things when you create the game, you need to give him a reason why he is going outside of a map. If he is going outside of a map, just send a signal to him and change the script. Do not send request. Meanwhile, we're actually painting nicely. Our map gains all terrains, and we can actually go outside of, yeah. Nice. Of course, it looks really terrible because the painter now is using like, well, it's using 100% for one level, so it looks a bit dodgy. Okay, thanks for this quick tutorial. I think it was quick. Let's see how in total it went, and see you next one. Bye.
And I'll go